Hello, YouTube. So this is part two of a two-part series on how to make Space Invaders. In part two, we're going to improve Space Invader, the basic version of it, and later on load it into Maubit, the handheld device. So back at MakeCode.com, we're going to view all. Click on this view all button right here. Right here, Space Invader 1, we're going to duplicate it. So click on the checkbox right there, and then go over here and click on the duplicate button. The reason why we're duplicating this is because we're going to make a new version, and we're going to have the old version for maybe some other uh, reasons if we want to go back to the earlier version. So let's duplicate it. Now we have Space Invader 2 right here. We can go here, click on this again, and click on the open button. Or we can just go back and just click on Space Invader 2 right here. So you can see this is the original version right here. And so first of all, the game just starts, right? Let's give it a pause. So under game, we can have a splash, prompt a splash. So this stops the game for a little bit. So what are we going to prompt? We're going to prompt defend yourself in 60 seconds. All right. So when the game starts, it says defend yourself in 60 seconds. Then I have to click the A button to continue. You understand why I put down 60 seconds, because we're going to make this game a time-based game. Second of all, let's change the background. So I know we have that start this star field effect, but I really want to add more to the scene. So go under scene and we can set background image. So let's set the background image to something on the gallery. Oh, this looks just like space. I like this. So that's what I'm going to choose. Now you can see as I add stuff, it's squishing up my code and it's hard to handle. So what I can do is I'm just going to drag start all the way to the top a little bit. Give it more space. All right. So I have my splash screen, prompt stat text right there, and I change my background. You know what? Another thing I'm going to do is, because this handheld game, this game can be loaded onto different devices. Not all device has the same resolution on the screen. So what I want to do is I want to change the X. I want to do some math. I want to change it to be always in the center of the screen. So let's do some math by selecting this divide function, stick it in here. Now I'm going to take the scene, the screen width, and I'm going to divide that by 2. Look what happens. See, it's in the center, dead center right there. And the Y, again, that's the height, right? So I'm going to do more math, and I'm going to subtract. I'm going to subtract the height. Oops. By the sprite of the spaceship height, and a little bit more. So I think roughly 15. So let's see, look at this. So it looks a little bit different. It is dead center and it's 15 pixels above the bottom. So that's always accurate right there. So that's great. Now, since I'm going to change this to a time base, so I want to set a time countdown. So I'm going to start counting down. I'm going to set to 1 minute long, 60 seconds. Right? I have my life, I have seconds to count down. I also need to set my score. Set score to 0. So it starts with 0 points, and That looks pretty good, doesn't it? All right. So we're going to come back up to start because I'm going to do some other stuff. But let's keep on going for now. So I think my buttons are pretty good. But do you know what? This projectile, yeah, I made it, but it looks a little bit goofy. Let's go to the gallery. The gallery actually has pretty neat looking projectile right here. But you know what? It's upside down. So I can turn it around by clicking this button, rotate it 2 times, and then I can move it around by clicking on the marquee tool. I can drag around it and I can move it up. Let's move it up to the top corner. So you can see the sprite is pretty big. Let's reduce the size. So we can count how many pixels there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 pixel on width. So let's do 5. And it's actually, I think, 11 on height. So I'm going to change this to 11th. Right. Good. Click on done. So I think that's all I want to do for the projectile. Make it look a little nicer. In fact, let's check it out. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? And look at that screen. Well, look at the countdown timer up here too. And look at my score as I kill those monsters. The score increases. So I got to 10. We need to change the game a little bit, of course. So let's move on. Now on game update, this is where we're going to change most of the stuff. We're going to have different types of monsters. But before we do that, let's change the bottom of the code a little bit. Instead of on score 10, we win. Again, we're going to have a time base, right? So let's delete this whole thing. Let's go over to game. And no, on info. Sorry about that. So let's go to on countdown ends. When this ends, our game will be over. Game over, win. Okay. And I'm going to move these sprites to the side. So it gives me more space up here. In fact, I'm going to move this even further down. So I have more space up there. All right. And it doesn't matter where we drag it. It's all good. Okay, so now we're going to update on game update right here. This is a key part. Let's update at random events, right? It's not always at 1 second, so it's not as predictable. So just like before, how we use the math function on random, we're going to go click on pick random number between 0 to 10. Instead of 0 to 10, we want a half second, so that's 500 to 1 second. So that's 1,000 of milliseconds. MS is milliseconds. So between this time, we're going to have random monsters come out. Now, let's see. We're going to create a logic, a if-else statement. So let's click on that. Drag it in here. And we're going to change this based on our score. So if true, we have to go back to logic again. If our score is at a certain situation, so if our score is less than a certain number, so we need to find score. Score is a variable. Score will change over time, right? So go under info, grab score, put it right there. If our score is less than or equal to, let's say, 20, then we're going to have the most basic monster. So let's duplicate this. We're going to have this monster right here. In fact, let's delete this one. We don't need that one. So we're going to create this monster. Else, we're going to make another one. Else, if score is at a certain thing, certain range, then we're going to create another monster. So it needs to be more than 20. We're going to go over to logic. It has to be between a range, right? So let's say it's between, we'll duplicate this, put it in here. Now, if you don't like using the duplicate button, you can always go back to logic and just click any one of this, put it in here, go back to info, click on score, and put it in here. Now we can change these Dropbox. So we want in a range. We want it, this was less than 20. This one we want it to be more than 20, but less than a certain another amount. So let's say less than 50 or 40. Let's go up by 20. So from 20 to 40, now we have another monster coming out. And let's make more. Why stop there, right? Let's duplicate that, put that in here, and let's duplicate that and put that in here. Now I haven't changed the look of the monster. We'll get to that in a second. We know that now there are 4 situations. Let's duplicate this whole thing right here so we don't have to retype everything. And we'll have a range from 40 to 60. And if it's more than 60, that's the final boss is down here. But let's change the looks. Instead of this monster, we're going to change it to the bat. I like the bat with the mouth. That's pretty cool. And this monster, we're going to change it to the ghost with the hand right there. All right. And the last monster, do you know what we'll change it to? We're going to change it to another spaceship that's facing us. So let's flip this spaceship around and done. So we have all these different monsters are coming at us. Well, let's try it out real quick. Can you beat this in 60 seconds? So we're gonna kill a bunch of monsters. And 14, 15. Oh, okay, now we're gonna have a new monster should come out. Oh, look at the new monsters. They're coming out. But you know what? The new monsters aren't as difficult. They're the same. They're going at the same speed. So we need to change that. We don't want to go at the same speed. We want to get more difficult. So we're going to add a new variable to change the speed. We're going to go up to start. We're going to create a new variable. So under variables, set variable, and then we're going to create a new variable. This one's going to call enemy speed. All right, and we're going to set it to initially to 20. That's how our enemy speed is going to be. And we can actually now set speed to the enemy speed. So under variable, now you can see enemy speed shows up. So now it's going to be 20. Now we want to change it over time. So under variable, we can set enemy speed. We don't want to set the first one. We want to set the second one to, instead of 20, now it's going to be 40. And then enemy speed We want it to be 60. And then let's use a duplicate button. We want it to be at 100. That's the fastest. All right, so that's pretty much the entire game right there. Let's try it out. So let's play the game. In fact, this is full screen. Shoot, let's fight this monster out here. Let's see what score I can get. 16, 17, 18, 20. Oh, look, they're a little bit faster. They're coming at me faster. You dodge them. Wow. Oh, this is even faster. It's getting harder. Oop, I lost one life right there. I need to be more careful. Oh, no, 50. Oh, there they are. 9, 61. Oh, whoa, these are fast. Oh, no. They're coming really fast. Oh. Look, 1 minute has passed. I won. I got a score of 70. So that's the whole game. Pretty cool, huh? On our next video, I think our last video, we'll show how to load this onto Malbit and how you can play it on a handheld device.